Hi, welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write in multiple genres, all in the same book.
Rhonda, you're muted. We can't hear anything you say.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction under the pen name Dee Bowman.
All right. We already have an active chat. Good morning, Shell. Good morning, Piper. We want to thank you for tuning in this morning, wherever you are. And also, if you're watching us later on iTunes or any of the other place where you can find our podcast. If you are watching us on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Also, we do have a newsletter. Can you please go to christianindywriters.net and subscribe and check it out, because we typically will have in there one of the live writing sprints from the Feeding of the Backs that we do every episode in there, in case you missed that and want to see it written down. And I think that's all I have to say about that. Oh, except we're short one host today. Poor Jen. She had some extensive flooding and has to be dealing with all of that. So our prayers are with her this morning. Liz Hend can finally watch us live. Hooray. Good for you, Liz. We're so happy to have you. Oh, Gigi's with us. Hooray. Okay. We like to start each episode with a segment we call What's Up? We want to know what is new with our writers and with our chatters. So if you want to put your What's Up in the chat box, what is up with you today, Rhonda?
What's up with me today is it is a beautiful day in Michigan, and I cannot wait to get a lot of work done outside. We got my cable railing up yesterday, and it's all beautiful, and I'm so excited to just sit on my deck for a little while before I start working this afternoon.
Rhonda, I bet you there are people who would really like to see pictures of your progress and things like that. Yeah, see, Tina raised a hand.
Okay.
Do you have a blog or a place where you're doing that kind of thing? Because I know people are interested and curious.
I do not. I really should. I should just have an online journal for, you know what? I'm going to do that. I will have an address for you.
You should have a video log of the work while you're doing it, so you could show people how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
good idea.
Really, because we've talked about this sort of a lot, but in case people haven't been tuning in or just have missed it, Rhonda, you like to write like cozy mysteries. You like to write that kind of feel and genre. And you moved into an old gas station, right? Like how
Yes.
old of a gas station?
It was built in 1930.
1930. And you have a monument on the property.
Yes, it is a historical monument commemorating all the vets from the Spanish War through, from the Civil War all the way through World War II in Atlas.
Yes, and it would just seem to me that anybody who's into cozies or into historical things would be really excited to see the progress and to walk down historical memory lane with you. And also, you're going to be digging out the cistern that's on the property?
Yes, because before there was a gas station there, a hotel was there in 1845.
No way, there was a hotel in 1845?
Yes. So this is a cistern where they would store their water, and then eventually if it got like a leak in it or something, they would turn it into a dump, basically, or anything that wouldn't burn on the burn pile would go in there. So where the leak is, things are coming out, and there are so many pieces of old china and old bottles, and it was a trash dump, so most of it's broken, but marbles, oh my gosh, it's so cool. But the coolest thing about this whole thing is that one of my ancestors kept a journal, and this is not direct line, but the brother of my direct line, where when his wife died after a few months after childbirth, she never recovered. He was heartbroken, and he went to this hotel that was on my property, and met his new wife, who changed
So
his
it's
life
like
forever.
Heartbreak Hotel?
Yeah. Yeah, it is now.
And then
Yes.
he met his wife. Okay, so now I'm inspired on your behalf. Like maybe if you don't know what to write about in the journal, you could like copy from the journal and let that be like a writing prompt for you,
Yes.
to write about then versus now.
Mhm.
And just writing about the history of that is so cool.
Do you know what the structure looked like when it was a hotel?
Well, a lot of the architecture in that area is Greek Revival, if you're familiar with that. So just your basic farmhouse, the hotels in the area and all that just had that nice, simple, clean lines. So I'm assuming that's probably what it looked like, but it was before they didn't even have tintypes in this area in that time. So I don't know exactly what it looked like.
Wow. What is a tintype?
You're muted.
I am.
Oh, a
No.
tintype is how they used to. No, my internet apparently is lagging today.
Oh.
So the way they used the original photographs, they would take a piece of tin and put a layer of silver over top of it and expose that to light, and that would be it was called a tintype image.
Wow.
So.
You know a lot of stuff. See what a resource you would be. So pipe up in the comments if you are excited about Rhonda's potential new project. Piper is already saying that sounds really cool. What's up with you this week, Tina?
Well, we are planning a trip to go see my mom in Port Orchard, Washington, which is, if you walk down the hill from her house a few blocks, maybe 3 blocks, you can stand on the beach and you can see the skyline of Seattle across the Puget Sound. So that's where my mom lives, and we're going to go visit her. And my husband, now, any of you guys who have been following all this stuff about Clifton strengths, my husband and I have opposing strengths. Like, I'm number 2 intellection, and he is number 2 activator, and they are opposed to each other. Like, they're on a list of strengths that are in opposition with each other. So I'm thinking about stuff, and he's already packing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like till 2 weeks from now. And this man has brought home so many snacks for the plane that he's going to need a suitcase just for his snacks. It really is hilarious because he loves his snacks. So he has got like good, and those things you buy at the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
You can like go to the grocery store and you can buy those size things. So he's got like a whole bag of them. He's got Milk Duds and chocolate covered Raisinets, I think that's what they're called. And he's got Good and Plenty's, and he's got good nutty bars. That's not what you would get at the movie theater, but he's got nutty bars, and he's got bags of licorice. I mean, his whole carry-on's just going to be snacks. It's going to be hilarious.
How long is this flight?
Well, we have a layover in Minneapolis, and it's like 7 hours total.
Okay.
I think I am noticing something about Bob is that he is any reason to buy snacks. Bob is really into the snacks.
Yes.
Liz says snacks are important. I think Bob would agree. Yes.
Yep.
So
when we go to the camper, he has so many snacks, like all of the, how you have storage like above the furniture in the living room, and like it's all full of his snacks. And my daughter will come over and go into the trailer, and her husband will be like, "Where are you going?" She goes, "To check out Dad's snacks," because he has the best snacks. She'll be in there rating the snacks.
I wonder how many snacks he buys for his daughter.
Aww.
To lure her to his.
He's all about the snacks. But yeah, he's already packing. He's already like planning our itinerary. And I'm like, well, can't we just sit around and visit with my mom? So we'll work it out. But it's just, now that I know what our strengths are, and that we're directly in opposition in those ways. Like, I want to sit and think, and he wants to do. I just think it's funny now.
Yeah.
It's and I look back at our marriage, and like almost every time that I think about any kind of conflict that we had, it was always because of that.
So how does he feel about you sitting and thinking? Is he as accepting as you are?
I don't know. Ignore him.
Oh, you just
I
think
put
about
on my
something else.
headphones and I put on Mozart so that I can just think without, because I can't think when he's like running around like Speedy Gonzales.
Mm-hmm.
That's my new writing technique for trying to be alone while writing, is like putting on Mozart really loud in my headphones and blocking out everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's make sure we talk about that later when we dive into the topic, because that sounds like a really good strategy. Piper says that she has medical appointments this week, so she's missed her office hours, but she's deep into chapter 1 of her sequel. Piper
Awesome.
just went live with her next installment of her book about a week or so ago, and she's already writing the next one. That's the way to do it.
Mhm.
Shell says her what's up this week. She made a list, 2 lists, in fact, of things I need to do for my blog and my self-publishing her book. Way to go, Shell. I was there when she made a list. And in fact, making a list was on her list of things to do. So she automatically got to check it off. This is great. All right. I will say my what's up. I saved it for last because it sort of feeds into this topic. My what's up is just, you know how you feel like sometimes God just keeps bringing something up into your mind over and over and over until you get the message. Have you ladies ever had that experience?
Yes.
Well, my whole life, people have been trying to encourage me to journal. I would get journals and notebooks as gifts, and people would be talking about journaling, or I would just be complaining and they would say, oh, you should try journaling. But I had some really, so anyway, it came up again this week as I was talking to writers, and I was like, yeah, but the reason I don't like to journal is because as a child, this whole someone will read your diary and then use your secrets against you sort of trope always sort of haunted me. And I did not like discovering that people were mean when I was a child, and to realize that revealing your secrets gave people the power to hurt you really kept me from wanting to journal. Okay, so fast forward to the topic, which is writing when writing is hard. And I have this fresh perspective all of a sudden about journaling, similarly to a new perspective that I have about therapy, in trying to see it as a gift for me. And the idea that journaling can help to sort of just process thoughts just really hit me afresh. Just today, actually. And that is why I decided to share this as my what's up, because I feel as though my new perspective is going to propel me to want to journal. Another thing I didn't like about it is that my longhand writing is always so much more painstaking and slow compared to typing. But now I'm thinking, what else am I doing with my life anyway? So it takes me a long time to write these words. Why am I in such a hurry to blast through every moment and every experience?
And I think that's kind of the point, is that you have to slow down and let your mind think while you're writing. My
mind is faster than my hand, is
right.
Why I'm frustrated.
So it forces your mind to slow down
and
when
wait.
You're longhand journaling, and
yes.
So then it gives your mind time to process instead of just rushing through it.
Yes, so that I'm not interrupting myself.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm really excited to explore journaling with this new sort of mindset. I want to believe that I'm going to enjoy it and not think of it as something I should do or something I ought to do, but really as an artistic exercise, or as just a gift for myself. And I know I have some blank journals somewhere, although they may have disappeared back into the bowels of the house. But if not, then my birthday is coming. Maybe I'll buy myself something really nice to be a journal for myself. And so that is why I wanted to go last, is because what we're talking about actually is finding your motivation to write when writing is hard. Why are we talking about this? Someone else want to talk? Because I've been talking for a few minutes in a row.
Go ahead, Tina.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something sage and wise, and it was good.
Oh, I'm saving it.
Well, because a lot of us go through, I mean, it's just, I think we're just taking turns right now.
Yeah.
With life being hard, which is making the writing hard.
Yes.
And I think like every week it's somebody else's turn for life to be hard, and which is making the writing hard. And so it's just relevant to the world.
Absolutely. That's a very good answer, Tina. I'm glad that we called on you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, why do we lose motivation? What are some things that seem to suck it right out of us?
Well, I'll get a little personal here. Last 2 years, COVID aside, it really didn't affect me that much at all. But my personal life, I ended up getting really sick, like I said, not COVID related. And my husband ended up leaving. And so I had a lot of things that threw my writing career into the pit, basically. And it took me probably a solid year and a half I'm still not back at the same momentum that I was when all this fell apart. And it was really hard to stay motivated to even come to office hours, let alone write every day or every other day or once a week even. I mean, there were a few months there where the only time that I wrote was during our sprint on Friday morning. And it was hard. And sometimes it is really hard to get going if life is in the crapper. But I'm here to tell you that there is a light at the end if you persevere. So,
well, we're glad that you did, because the podcast and our lives wouldn't be the same without you. So I'm glad that you stuck it out.
Yes. Well, all four of us have had big things happen to us in the last 2 years or so. And it's brought our writing group closer. And unfortunately, Jen, it seems like she's really getting pounded the last little while. But anyway, bad things take away your motivation, but they're also can be used for your good. And also they can be writing prompts.
Fodder.
Yes.
I was going to say fodder.
Fodder, yes, that's a good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when your personal life is horrible or crazy or something like that, that is absolutely something that can make you lose your motivation. Something else I want to say is when it starts to feel kind of hopeless or pointless because you're not getting sales or you're not getting reviews. You write something that you think is a bestseller and it's crickets from around the world. Now, okay, we could get into this whole thing of like, well, no one even knows it's there because you're not marketing. But the fact of the matter is, when you start to feel like it's pointless because no one's even reading what you write, that's really going to suck the motivation out of you sometimes, wouldn't you say?
It can, yeah.
Yeah. And I want to park it right here for just a second, because if you're feeling unmotivated because people aren't cheering you on or whatever it is you need, make sure that you know what it is you expect from people.
Yes.
Because your expectations really drive your motivation on a kind of a deep level. So if your motivation is to just write every day, and all you need is to have your people around you writing with you, then that could be your motivation. Or if you know that you need people to cheer you or tell you how great your writing is, then you need to make sure you put it in front of the people who can give you that feedback.
Yes. Yes, because I see people all the time posting, oh, I wrote this chapter in random Facebook group. And then they're just gutted because they have typos or because they have passive voice or just whatever. And then the person is like, everyone is so mean. And it's like, well, we weren't clear that you wanted atta girls. We weren't clear that you wanted only positive feedback or something like that. And then you should tailor your audience accordingly. And don't share your work with non-readers. If someone is not a reader and you're like, please read my thing, I don't know why you would expect for them to be excited to read it just because it's your thing. They just kind of aren't bent that way. It's not personal. So we could kind of go on and on about solving that particular woe is me before you get there. But the fact of the matter is, if you're feeling that way, that can really suck the life out of your motivation, can it? And then, Bambina, why don't you talk about that last point there?
Well, I wanted to share Liz's comment because it takes us right into our last reason. And she says she said, I've lost my motivation because I don't know what to do next. And she says, and personal life is a bit stressful right now. So we talked about when life is stressful, but when you feel blocked or stuck, that can keep you from writing. And that's kind of what's been going on with me. I had some things that I wasn't sure about in my editing process, and I needed to really think about it and get that solved in my mind before my brain would let me go full on into editing. And so that can really, when you're not sure what to do next or where to go, or sometimes your brain will know, like, there's a mistake that you made 3 chapters back and we're not going forward till you fix it. And so then you'll feel blocked or stuck and have to go back and figure out why.
Yes. And we talked about one episode of Writer's Block you endured, Tina, back in episode 83. If anybody wants to take a walk down memory lane or visit a time machine or whatever.
Yeah. And I've learned a lot about myself since then, and about my need to be able to stop and just think and just, what's the word? Not ruminate. Intellect, or I have this cross stitch that I do, and so I pick that up when I need to figure out something with my book, and it's not even active thinking. It's like in the unconscious, back in the background. My brain is working on it, and then like all of a sudden it'll just come to me. Oh, that's what I need to do. So.
Yes. And Tina, I'm glad you brought that up, because we're about to move into what are the strategies for overcoming this feeling of lost motivation. And we don't have a different creative outlet as listed as one of those things, but that is indeed a really good exercise. I know I'll pick up my guitar or go sing karaoke or find some other creative thing to do. So I guess that can be maybe the first tip or trick that we share with people to try to get their motivation back. That's a good one, Tina.
Incubation. That was the word I was looking for. It's an incubation activity. And if you can do something where your eyes are moving back and forth, it actually works better. So they say, like, doing the dishes, because you're like going over here and washing and going over here and rinsing, and your eyes are moving back and forth. It aids in the thinking.
Maybe that's why I am actually motivated to clean when I have writer's block feelings, because, and organizing. So, like I'll go in my closet and put all the blue shirts together, or I'll go in my pantry and put all the corn and the green beans together. And it's helpful. Yeah. Rhonda, does your shell sorting or your button sorting feel like that to you maybe?
Yes, it does. And when Tina was talking about a cross stitch the other day, I realized that I do the exact same thing when I'm sorting my buttons. I'm a button collector and I've got a lot of antique buttons, but I also have colored ones. And sometimes I just like touching them. I'm very tactile. But yeah, I thought that what I was actually, the way I describe it is I'm physically getting the chaos out of my brain by sorting these buttons and putting them all into colors or age or whatever they are. And Tina's absolutely right. When I go back to what I had been trying not to think about, there's a solution or something. And
you have high intellection also, don't you, on your strength?
Yeah.
I I was wondering too if for a while I was compelled to do jigsaw puzzles, and I think that might have been a
That's
part of
one of
it.
the things they say to do. Yep.
It's fascinating because these are all things that the judgy part of me that I'm trying to crucify wants to say are time wasters. But there is no such thing as wasting time. And the older I get, the more that I realize the truth in that. And so maybe a jigsaw puzzle is a solution for some people.
Or going for a drive in your car. Like that's some of the things. And to me, I always felt bad. I always felt like, you know, you're procrastinating, you're being lazy, but no, that's my superpower. And my best stuff comes out of letting myself do those things.
I want a shirt that says being lazy is my superpower.
No. Energy efficient.
I know, yeah. Incubation, maybe. Jason is with us. Yay, Jason.
Hi,
and
Jason.
Shell says she really loves puzzles. There's something soothing about it. And I haven't done a crossword puzzle in a while either.
I like solitaire.
Okay, so we have that. What?
I was going to say, I don't know if a crossword would be exactly the same because you're still using the same part of your brain as you would try to write when you're doing the crossword.
True.
So, I mean, maybe it'll work. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, but it's not as like, I don't want to say mindless, but it's not as, it's different. It's different to be sorting or matching colors or just doing routinized things that you don't have to really, Okay, so what other strategies do we have? I see the first one on our list is button C. Now, this is mine. Show up anyway. At least keep your habit of showing up in place and at least open your manuscript during your prescribed times. Because I put this here because it's the only thing that I know how to do when I'm stuck. I've got 10 to 12 as my writing time, and that is the time that I sit in the chair and open my manuscript, even if nothing comes to me, even if I end up doing other stuff during that time, I'm still showing up, and I feel like it's at least keeping the illusion that I am still moving forward. I don't know. It feels like it's being helpful. What do you guys think about showing up?
Yes, it's very important.
Even when I'm doing my incubation activity, I feel stuck. So I'll open my manuscript and I'll read like wherever I am so that I get that fresh in my mind. And then I'll go to my incubation activity during that time so that my manuscript has been put into the crock pot, so to speak. So that while I'm doing my incubation activity, that it's cooking in there.
Absolutely. What's next on our list? What, Rhonda?
I was just going to say, so we have our office hours where we try to go to a hangout or whatever and visually be accountable to each other every day during the week. And even though that is what I prefer, sometimes I've got to take myself or somebody else to a doctor's appointment or whatever. But I know that for myself, I am still doing my office hours during the day. But I think that the accountability of other people is very important.
Agree. So if you don't have people in your life who are also writers, that can be a little bit tricky, right? So I would say make this podcast I'm at least going to show up and chat with the people in the podcast at 10 a.m. on Friday, because we'll be the people to sort of say hello to you and hold you accountable. And you know what? You only have to write to be a writer. So write hello in the chat box to us, and we will encourage you and support you until you feel motivated to do more than that. That's what we're here for. So consider us your little virtual writing friends, and feel free to shoot us an email or find us on social media. We're not real consistent, but we will eventually get back to you. I promise. What other strategies do we have listed for overcoming motivation?
Change your diet, exercise routine, get more sleep, So just take care of yourself. I had undiagnosed sleep apnea for a while, and I just couldn't think. My brain was so fuzzy. And I had to go have a sleep study and get a CPAP machine. And the difference that it made was astonishing to me, that how much more clear my brain works now and how I can think and I can be creative. So sometimes there's like an illness or you're just not taking care of yourself, and that can really affect your creativity.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. All right. I think it's interesting that Barb says it's funny that the topic is what it is today because she's outlined a blog idea called Writing in the Valley to be fine-tuned. Barb, please ping us back on that because we would love to read that and share it with our audience. And Jason says it's hard to find the accountability. Yeah, it can be hard to find the accountability. Absolutely. I guess the secret is to figure out what would work for you and then invite others to come along. So if you know that you've got a space every Thursday from 3 to 4 that you want to be writing, then go find people who can accommodate that. It's much better than sort of casting a wide net and saying, when do you all want to get together to do X, Y, and Z? I would suggest that as a first step to try to find those people.
And if you can't find a writing group, try to find a mentor of some sort. Even if they're not a writer themselves, if they can help you with maybe your scheduling or something else, if it's someone to just talk to and bounce ideas off of, it's just really important.
Yeah, and perhaps you're someone who struggles with finding time to do other things that would be helpful to you, and this can be a first step. I am going to make a commitment to writing at this o'clock every day or for 15 minutes every day or something. And then you can find accountability partners when you've established that routine. I'm kind of on a tangent now. Okay, so what else can you do? Ooh, Tina had a good one. She said, read writing books or fiction that is in the same genre that you write.
Yeah.
Care to elaborate on that, Bambina?
This was just recently, little helpful anecdote. It was Memorial Day, and I decided to take Memorial Day off, so to speak. And I picked up, I write Christian fantasy. So I went looking for a really good fantasy book that I could read on that day. And so I went and read Brandon Sanderson's book because I had watched his class on YouTube on writing fantasy, and he's always referencing his books. And so I thought, well, I'll read one, and it was really good. And the next day I had so many ideas that just kept popping in my head. I had to start a new file to just put ideas in because it had just generated this creative thing in me to want to, do stuff. So, and also if you're editing and you're lost, you're like, what do I do? Go read a book on editing. And maybe you're not going to use that technique that they use, but maybe something that they say in the book will light up something in your brain and you'll go, oh, that's what I'm going to do. And it'll help you move forward.
I love that. All right. And then the next thing we have is to revisit your why. Rhonda, do you want to tackle that one?
Sure. Ask yourself, why did you start writing? Did you start writing because you want to make $1 million, or because God gave you a story to tell, or because you want to download Taylor Swift somebody in a book? Who knows? Remember why that was, and hopefully that'll spark motivation again. That's the long and the short.
Especially, I know that Jennifer feels like God gave her stories, and there are many people in the chat who have said something similar. And if the Lord has called you to write and to get the story out there, well, sometimes just remembering that can really propel you forward. I piggybacked right on that when we were doing our outline, and I said, go back and visit your business plan. Because first of all, you'll have to revise it if you've really been stuck. If life has really hit you with a big tumultuous whatever and thrown off your whole plans, well, you might need to revisit your business plan and make modifications for it, so you can feel that you still accomplished what you wanted to this year. But also, it can be a way to remember your why, just like in our previous suggestion, and it could help you find motivation. So finally, the last thing we have is to maybe just stop trying to have a writing career for a while. We talked about just coming to the Christian Indie Writers podcast being enough, but maybe not even that. Maybe just take a break from the whole thing, put it on a shelf, and dust it off when your life will make allowances, because beating yourself up for not doing something that you believe you should be doing is not going to help you if you are experiencing one of these life events that is making you feel all crazy. If you can't approach writing with a healthy mindset and feel like you're doing something good for yourself, maybe it's a sign that you should just stop for a while and relax. And Tina, do you want to take us into our last point on our outline here?
So you might want to figure out what is the true cause of your lack of motivation. So you might not understand why, and maybe you need to do some research or do some soul searching and figure out why. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot is the pandemic. Like, we're in a pandemic right now, and a lot of people aren't getting out. Like, people who are extroverts aren't able to get out around people, or it's just keeping us at home, or there's fear. And so, like, the whole world is kind of in a state of trauma right now. And so if you know anything about like energy spoons or energy pennies, like everybody has a certain number of spoons that they use every day. And so when we're in a crisis like this, like, it might have taken you one spoon to get out of bed before. Now, when you're in some kind of stress or crisis or trauma, it can take 5 or 10 just to get out of bed. And so if that's the kind of thing that's happening in your life, it might not be the pandemic didn't really affect me that much, because I was kind of a homebody anyway. I worked from home, I homeschooled, I wrote from home. So it didn't affect me as much as it's affected some people. But there are other things in my life that cause me stress. And so when those things happen, and then I also have chronic illness, so that saps my energy. So that's one thing it could be. But there are ways that you can figure it out, and you need to maybe take the time to do that. And also, you can sit and think about, has this ever happened to you before in the past, and how did you overcome it then? Because our brain works in patterns, and we have patterns that we follow, just unconsciously. We don't even realize it. So if you can figure out what you did in the past to get out of that slump, you might be able to repeat that somehow.
Right. And finally, Tina is a big Becca Syme fan. If you don't know about her work, SYME, she does the Quit Cast for writers, quit this and that writers is basically the premise. And she is a big fan of saying, question the premise. Is your lack of motivation something you even need to fix? Is there a problem right now? It's interesting because there isn't one of us on this podcast who's really the sort of churn out a novel every 3 months and, that style of writing career. Okay. So we don't have that personality represented among the 4 of us. But I can't imagine going through something like this if you're somebody who is used to producing at that level and then just can't anymore, or find yourself with writer's block or something like that. I imagine that would be a whole different kettle of fish. And I would love to hear from somebody like that. But if you find yourself suddenly lacking in motivation and unable to write, maybe you need to take a moment and think, so what? Am I wrong, Tina?
No, I don't think so. And I've this conversation comes up a lot in different groups I'm in the in Facebook, and people having trouble writing. And there are people that say, I will write for 4 months and that's all I'll do. But then that season kind of passes, almost like a season of the year. And then I'll scrapbook for 4 months, or I'll do something else. And then it has to come back around. So everybody's different. And some people might be seasonal writers like that. And just be in a season. You might be in a season where you need to just step back and let yourself, give yourself a break. Do something else for a little while. And if you're really passionate about writing and God really has given you the story, it'll still be there. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, one of you brought up Ecclesiastes and the idea that there's a season for everything. I think it might have been you, Rhonda. And there's time to mourn and a time to dance. And perhaps right now is not the time to write.
Right.
Time heals all wounds is another little phrase that we put down here. Sometimes that's exactly what you need, is a little bit of time to undo the lack of motivation. Rhonda, you were saying that was key for you, right? Was just allowing time to pass and circumstances to change.
Yeah, because all I did is I showed up here every Friday. Sometimes I could not even do office hours every day during the week. And then gradually I started getting back into my office hours just because I was trying to be consistent, even though half the time I didn't write. I might have, I don't know, drawn a picture online or something. I don't know. But I was just trying to get back into the habit and just being consistent with that. I am totally motivated right now. I've finally published on Vella, our first novella. Yeah, I'm so excited. And so everything is just falling into place. And I'm so glad that I put that effort in, because sometimes it was an effort just to open my computer up in the morning. And it took about a year and a half. It wasn't an overnight healing, but everything is really bright and shiny now.
But the words are still there. They didn't go anywhere.
That's right. And now
I
needed that season to recover.
Yeah, actually, I've got juicier words now, I think, than I had before.
Ooh.
And then you have people you want to kill in your books, right?
I am Taylor Swift and somebody really good in this next book.
Yay!
But somebody jumping up on a table and saying, "Why you gotta be so mean?"
Yeah.
There's people in my life I want to do that. If I was the type to jump on a table and sing, that's a song I'd sing them.
Shell and Jason are both saying, nice perspective, Tina. I'm going to say that right now because that was fun to hear about you jumping on a table, telling people off. Nice perspective, Tina. But really, Rhonda, thanks for showing up, I want to say. And I also want to say, reach out and tell people what you're going through, because a lot of the time we didn't even realize that Rhonda was struggling and that it was hard for her to just show up on those days. And, sometimes you just feel like you're whining and complaining, but your friends want to be there for you. That's something that I've learned. You have a support network of the people in your life do care that you're struggling, and they would want to know how to pray for you. So, really.
And even if they can't do anything to help you, just sometimes somebody to listen to you, it can do a world of good.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that is awesome. Did we thoroughly exhaust this topic, ladies?
I don't know about that, but I think we're done.
AKA, are we at the end of our outline? Yes. All right. So we're missing Jen here to help us round out the conversation. Your prayers for her are appreciated, of course. Yeah. And if you want, what, Rhonda?
I was just going to say, if any of these tips resonated with anybody, or if they are going to try to use them or anything, please let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully we've given you something to maybe write a blog post about or update your social media about, something to get you back into the writerly mindset. Maybe we've inspired you in some way. Check out our book, 30 Days of Writing Sprint Prompts. Also, maybe just having a daily habit of writing to one of our prompts can help to get you out of the doldrums. And that's what I have for a plug. Okay, now on to everybody's favorite part of the podcast, the feeding of the bags. The what? Well, this is where we give each other feedback on our freshly written writing sprints. We spend 15 minutes before each episode writing and to a prompt. And we share it with everybody and hope that you will also do this exercise. And Tina, why don't you tell everybody what today's prompt is? But first, let me remind everyone that we only give positive feedback about these writing sprints because they are unedited, raw pieces. In our normal writing group, we might have critique and ways to improve, but this is positive feedback only. So what have we got today, Tina?
The prompt is wild horses. It was a theme or a topic, so you could do whatever you wanted. You could wave at it as you rode by on your horse.
All right. And what did you write for us?
Okay. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. Charlotte's brain kept repeating to itself. She needed to find another proverb for it because this one was getting old. She had readjusted her hat and rain poncho to keep her face as dry as possible. It really was a futile endeavor since the wind insisted on blowing straight at her. Trying to fix a fence post in a tempest wasn't exactly high on her list of favorite things to do. It was cold today, a welcome relief from the sweltering days of the past few weeks, and the ground was thirsty for the cool drink it was getting. The grasses swayed with the wind, and the mountains in the distance stood dark against the gray sky. Some people thought this stretch of earth was mostly barren, but to her it was beautiful. She knew this land, and each time she saw a new patch of flowers or grasses sprout from what once had been trampled to dust by cattle, her heart sang. Lightning flashed, revealing a lone stallion standing on a rise about a half a mile out. She couldn't tell from here the color, but judging by the size and shape, she was thinking it was Scout. He was standing guard while the band he ran with hunkered down in a protected spot from the storm. Charlotte smiled. She remembered the day they'd brought the trailer full of Mustangs here, most of them considered unbreakable and destined for slaughter. Scout had exited first, then waited by the chute for all the other horses to come out before following behind them, their protector from the very first day. Thunder rolled across the plain, loud and long, followed by a flash of lightning that struck a lone tree a quarter mile to the east, splitting it down the middle. Charlotte grabbed her tools and ran for the truck. The fence post would have to wait. She wasn't brave enough to tempt the lightning. Scout, however, never budged. He stood tall and proud. He was wild and free, and all was right with the world.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
It was. That does not sound like something you just spouted out in 15 minutes. That's
No, it
amazing.
does not. From the thirsty ground and the drink, and then all the other descriptive words, you just have such a knack with the description.
Well, I have to say, I've been watching these videos on a Facebook page that I found where these people have 22,000 acres in southern Colorado that used to be a cattle ranch, and they've been buying the horses from the holding pens that the government's about to send to slaughter, and they have a herd of about 150 now running on this land. So I've been watching these videos and crying and crying and crying, and so that was my inspiration. So it came really easy.
Okay.
Shell says it's incredible, and she wants to know more about Scout. I think we all kind of do. And about Scout rhymes, just like the rain in Spain. Wow. Do you think you might write more about this character in this?
I have no idea. I'll put it in the files, and we'll see what happens when I'm done with this trilogy set in Alaska.
Awesome. And all right. I'll go next so that it's not too much of me talking all straight in a row. Here is my take on wild horses. And based on what I've said today in my What's Up, you will see that it is related. Okay. I thought about wild horses the first time I cracked open my journal. The teacher had called the process of getting it all down on paper caging the monkey mind, but I never really resonated with monkeys. Monkeys were stooped and flung poop. Wild horses running free. That's how I prefer to think of the unfettered thoughts in my brain. I'll corral them, I thought, between the beautiful binding of this book. The leather-bound volume made a satisfying creak the first time I opened it. I'll never forget that sound. So much promise, so much potential. I didn't have much to write about back then. So much seemed insignificant. It took me a few false starts to really get the knack of this habit. So many entries start. Sorry, it's been a while since I updated this. Eventually, however, I caught my stride. It happened after one particularly stressful campout. The mean girls I met there iced me out and made me feel alone. We had a trail ride on that particular campout. My horse was named Snickers, and he was the most well-behaved horse I've ever ridden on such a ride. I wanted to draw Snickers and decided the place to do so was my long-abandoned journal. I drew Snickers, and as I sketched him out, considered the action of the bullies I'd encountered. I decided to corral those thoughts, those feelings within the boundaries of the leather volume. What better place to voice the things I only now considered the best retorts ever to their snarky comments? What better place to let my imagination run wild with the thoughts of suffering I secretly wished upon those girls? What better place to repent for those feelings? My journal became something altogether different to me after that campout. It became a place where wild horses run free.
I love that.
That was really good.
Thanks.
That could be an advertisement for journaling. I love that so much.
I hope it's true.
Has anybody ever gone to camp and not experienced the mean girls? I just want to.
Every girl that I took to AHG camp did not experience mean girls because it was a wonderful, beautiful time of bonding among girls who all knew each other and loved each other. But yes, Tina, I get it. When you go away to like those kind of camps where it's just you being sent to go make friends, yeah, good luck with that.
Well, the ones I went to were with the youth group at my church, but I still experience that.
Yeah, I only had camp in 6th grade, Camp Tamarack, which was like our 6th grade class going to camp. So I stayed the same social pecking order place where I always was. There was no mixing with other schools or other people. It was just, we were outside having school instead of in the building having school. So I don't have a real camp experience.
I don't either, unfortunately.
Oh, we've got Gigi said, Tina, she got lost in your words. She loved it. And Shell says, wow, Jamie, I really related to this. Sorry, it's been so long since I updated this. Yes. And Shell, here's the thing. My next journal is not going to be for public consumption. And see, I always thought a Dear Diary. Someday someone will read this. And it's like, I just have to get that thought out of my head that's not the purpose of journaling is not necessarily for the person who will read it. It's for me. It's for me to process and corral.
And in our age, nobody really cares what we're writing in our journals, and they're not trying to peek at them and read them.
Yeah. Unless they're your great-great-granddaughters, and then they're going to worship every word that's in there. No matter what it is.
Jason said he also reminded, sorry, so long since I've updated this. Yeah, that's the online blog thing too, right? Like it's been forever since I've updated this blog. Sorry, you know.
Oh, now I feel guilty.
Why?
Because I just was trying to think when the last time I updated my blog was.
And Gigi also had some nice things to say about my piece. Thanks, everybody. All right, Rhonda, how did you tackle this prompt?
Well, I didn't get to the word, but it was in my mind. And this is a future scene in one of my novels. And this old lady is, even though she's only got 2 sentences in this sprint, she's one of my favorite characters now. I've already completely outlined her in my mind.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
I walked past the table closest to the door, the one that sparkled like a super chilled winter morning, the kind that turns all the frost crystals in the air into diamonds and turns your boogers in your nose into super glue. It was the jewelry table piled high with an antique rhinestone brooches, hat pins, leaded glass, and highly polished metal. Normally, this table would be my first stop, if only to feed my greedy brown orbs some eye candy. Today, though, I had to hold back and keep my mind on work. I had to find that photo album. The thought of discovering my answer in that book sent a thrill deep into my soul. Trying to remain patient and kind on the outside, while a storm of anxiety boiled inside of me, I very slowly made my way to the first bedroom, then the next. No sign of photo albums, books, or anything of interest at all yet. Dearie, would you reach that for me? A sweet little old woman pointed to the top shelf of the closet, which was packed with hat boxes. Sure, this one. I reached for the one her finger was aimed at. No, honey, that one there. She raised her arm slightly higher and straightened her gnarled finger a little, with the flowers on it. The end.
No,
Not
not the end.
No, this will be finished.
I need to know, why are they after a photo album? I need to know what is in the box.
Well, the old lady's not looking for the photo album, but wild horses are not going to stop her from getting the hat in a hat box.
Why?
Yes.
What is with this hat? So I have so many questions.
Because her grandmother wore a very similar one when the stagecoach got away, and it was just a huge family story and other things related to the plot.
Who is this person? What book is this? When will it be published?
This is the next one I'm working on.
Ooh, fun. Is this going to be a Vella thing, or is this going to be a book?
You know, I will decide. This is going to be a novel length. And the one I've got on Vella right now is a novella. I wonder if that's why they named that.
I thought so. They chopped up.
You're trying to force me to join Vella, aren't you?
Yes. So I cannot answer that question for you yet, but this will be a full-length novel.
That's exciting. I love it. And like you said, yeah, the old lady really was intriguing, but more I want to know about this photo album and who is this person, the voice of the piece. So I hope it doesn't feel critical. I hope it feels encouraging because I want to know so much more.
Well, you will find out one clue at a time.
Yeah, it's like somebody giving you a quarter of an hors d'oeuvre and then asking you to wait for dinner.
Yes. Yes. Here's the crust of the hors d'oeuvre.
Awesome. Well, that's fun. If you take on this writing prompt, set your timer for 15 minutes and write. We'd love to see what you come up with. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the episode, but before we go, we want to check in and see what is next for everybody. What's next for you, Rhonda?
What's next for me is continuing to put episodes on Vella. That's my number one thing. And then I'm also trying to get my blog really moving. So that's my secondary thing. And then my thirdary thing is working on my landscaping because I can actually put plants in the ground this week.
Yay!
And so that's it for me.
Well, before we move on from your what's next, I want to say that Gigi said, slip the boogers into super glue in effortlessly. The sprint was so full, and I want to know more. I think that it's unanimous that we want to see this one continue.
Very sweet of you. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a detail that I also liked. But Rhonda, I do want to know what call to action do you have for the listeners? Where do you want them to go to see your work, or what? What's up?
You can find my new Vella book on Kindle Vella. So wherever you go to get your Kindle books, go there and you will find the link to Kindle Vella. The author name is Dee Dee Bowman, and the title of the book is A Hero for Z.
Can you spell, like, is DD spelled out?
The initials, D-D, Bouman.
Okay.
And the full title of the book is The Landon House Stories, A Hero for Z.
All right. Oh, okay. So is this a Landon House story, the Hatbox story?
Yes. Today's sprint is going into the first full-length novel of the series.
Oh, fun. All right. So go there to get caught up on everything that Rhonda is doing. My what's next is I am implementing the edits for my novel. It's so exciting. I'm a short story writer who wrote a novel, and it was a really interesting exercise. And now I've got my edits back, and I am implementing them. And I am through part 1 and through the first chapter of part 2. Things are going along really wonderfully. I am returning to the practice of writing. I haven't really written except for our live sprints on Fridays. And I feel that when people compliment me on the work I've done in my novel, I feel like I owe it to the daily writing that I did, even when I didn't understand why I was doing it, because I believe the daily writing just made me a better writer. And I feel like writing daily is a good exercise. I'm not sure that I will still continue to do that if I'm going to be journaling. I don't know. But I do know that the daily writing made me feel good and productive. Let's just face it. We had today's episode because I'm in a crisis and I don't want to write and I'm not motivated. And so I'm trying to find that thing that will make me feel like should be doing this. What am I even doing here? Can I even I'm where Rhonda was like a year ago. So I'm just treading water. But I know I can show up from 10 to 12 and I know I can edit my novel and prepare it for publication. No one can take that away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing. That's my day-to-day. Jason's what's next is he's redoing chapter 1. It's been hard to settle on a good start for the book. Also structuring the plot out, breaking out some index cards for it. Ooh, that's a good strategy. Shell says, what's next? Next week, she'll be working on her list. Good for her. She's got a plan. She's going to work her plan.
Awesome.
That's how you crush goals. Gigi says, Rhonda, I'm enjoying reading about Z and Bella. Yay!
Gigi, you are so sweet. Thank you.
Gigi is quite an encourager. I just love it.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, and what's next for you, Tina?
I am going to get book 2 edited so that I can publish it before the end of the year.
Yay!
And if you go to ChristinaCatane.com, I have some progress bars on there. And so if you watch book 2, which is Alone in the Land of the Midnight Sun, you can see the word count change. So if you want to see how I'm doing.
So are you just now starting the edits for book 2? You just picked it back up to edit?
Yeah, I was stuck for a while and I had to spend some incubation time to figure out why I was stuck. And I think I finally figured it out because things are going a lot smoother now.
That's exciting. And if you liked Christina's descriptive work in her piece today, you'll love her books because they are written with that same wonderful descriptive voice and they're set in a beautiful setting of Alaska. So you should check them out. All right. And I think we got through all of the chat. And if we missed a comment, we're sorry. It just go by so fast. And I think that's it. So without further ado, I'll close the episode. Jason says he's been watching your word count, Tina. He's excited for the next book.
Oh, good. Somebody's excited.
All right. That concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Until next time, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
Bye.